So now I would like to invite Rachel to our stage. Rachel Hawkins is a digital marketing specialist, a cocktail enthusiast extraordinaire,
definitely
shaker. And Rachel, you primarily work for you're the expert, I guess, for health professionals in promoting their businesses and helping them find a really good brand and marketing strategy for them to expand their exposure, their loyal following, and then lead to, massive revenue growth.
Correct. Yeah. So I very much work with health professionals to really build their brands and market them online in many different ways, in their own way. That's very important to me.
So tell us a little bit about what got you to the place you're in right now, into this business and running a very, very successful company online.
Thank you. So I suppose a little bit of background. So I've had this business for 2 years. Actually, I looked at my phone today and was like, oh, my business turns 2 today. So you've got me on a day. So started in March 2021, and since then have worked with over 250 health professionals through both my online courses, Graham Teeny and Margarita, and one-on-one services to bring, tens of thousands of dollars of revenue into their businesses. But I suppose my story doesn't really start where most marketing strategists does, in that, I didn't, study marketing at university. I don't have years of, industry experience under my belt. I actually used to be a dietitian.
Oh, cool.
So that's a huge part of my brand story. So graduated with a master's in dietetics from the University of Queensland in mid-2018, and very naively dove headfirst into starting my own business just 2 months after I graduated. And that business was completely online, which certainly wasn't the norm in the healthcare industry pre-pandemic times, dare I mention it. But I ended up achieving a lot of success in that business. So I had a virtual clinic where I consulted with clients on a part-time basis, built my, brand and community up online via my digital channels, and also made an income working in various brand partnerships. So, social media campaigns, writing, consulting on different nutrition projects with, varying organizations. And while I did have a lot of success in that business, I inevitably, decided that dietetics just wasn't for me. And I shifted into marketing and have sort of found myself in the niche that I am now, working with other health professionals.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Like, you were always an entrepreneur, right? So you take a leap. We're like, we may not do it right the first time, or even do what we were meant to be doing, or found our purpose at this point. But a true entrepreneur like yourself, you take that leap anyway, because you've got all these lessons you're going to learn that you'll then eventually, you will find your path, and then you can use those for your purpose and your true business, which is your current business. What's your business name?
So I operate under my own name. So it's just Rachel Hawkins Co. So you'll be able to find me on all Instagram, website, etc. there. But to your point, never would I have imagined when I was at uni that I would be working in marketing. And it's funny, you always look back on these moments in your life in hindsight, and you see how they were paving the path for where you are now. Not that you ever would have imagined that, many moons ago.
Yep, lots of lessons learned, and still many more to come, no doubt. So then tell us a little bit about, let's talk about your products first, and then I'm going to go back and talk about how we can, broaden our own horizons and get some advice and tools from you. So tell us a little bit about Graham Teeny to start with.
Yeah, so Graham Teeny was my very first digital product. So Graham Teeny is a self-paced Instagram marketing course, of course, built specifically for health professionals and health brands, that teaches you how to build a profitable Instagram page. So one that allows you to create content with purpose, to find your people online, and of course, to grow your business and make more money. So it's certainly not a basic Instagram marketing course that's going to teach you how to be an influencer or a creator, as many Instagram courses do. It is a course that is specifically built to support service-based business owners in the healthcare industry to really increase that brand awareness, attract clients to their business, and nurture them and then convert them into clients. So not only do you learn how to develop an Instagram strategy and a content marketing plan, but you also learn how to optimize and monetize your Instagram page via, varying different methods. So had that one, like I said, 2 years now. So that was my first product. Since then, I've expanded to Develop Margarita, which is a 12-week live run course where I teach health professionals how to implement the entire digital marketing framework within their business. So we look at developing a brand strategy for them, websites, email marketing, content marketing, and systems. So it's really quite holistic. And then I also have a number of one-on-one services available too, including the Spritz, which is a done-for-you brand and digital marketing service for more established health brands.
And tell me and I love this because that's going to be super helpful for a lot of our followers for sure. But tell me what gave you the idea to use this cocktail all these cocktail analogies and put this flavor into your brand?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, no one has ever asked me that. And to be honest, I can't remember. I obviously love cocktails, but I can't remember where the first idea came to sort of weave cocktails throughout everything. And it's just sort of evolved and become this really central part of my branding and a real unique point of difference. And when I started this business, I started it wanting to really disrupt the healthcare industry because a little bit of context, but there's a lot of resistance to, or there certainly was when I started the business and when I was working as a dietitian, to utilizing the online space as a means to deliver, services to clients. And it's only that, practitioners were forced to as a result of the pandemic that it's sort of become more accepted. So I thought, cocktails, alcohol doesn't really match health. So but you know what? I'm just going to be me and I'm going to run with it. And yeah, people seem to like it. And it's also a great qualifier as well, because those who don't get the fun in my brand are not my type of people.
Yep. Yeah, I think one of our earlier speakers, Kalita, was talking about when they interview staff, they're a tech company, it's all about how they dress and the vibe the person gives. You've got to have a similar jive to each other. So when I saw you, I got the cocktail analogy straight away. And I think when I reached out to you, I even mentioned it straight away, because for me, I was like, this chick's kind of fun. And you can see that. And everyone tells us you should be authentic in everything that you deliver. So obviously, you're living by that. You've got your little shakers going on.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I dare say that I'm great at drinking cocktails, but not so much making them.
Yeah.
So I feel like a bit of a fraud sometimes.
So then tell us a little bit about how do you develop a loyal following when people are starting out businesses? What's some strategies that you've implemented that successfully to help you build a loyal following for your brand?
Yeah. So I suppose the very first thing that I would suggest needs to be done is gaining clarity on who you are as a brand and a business. And the reason I say this is because the online space is just so saturated. Everyone is online now. It doesn't matter what industry you're from. So you really can no longer pick up your phone and share a picture on Instagram, let's say, and expect that it's going to go viral and that you're going to attract all of these, ideal clients and customers to your business. It just doesn't work like that anymore. So you really need to be quite strategic in how you position yourself in order to stand out and get noticed by, the people that you want to get noticed by. So I consider the first step in that is really, gaining clarity on who you are and what makes you unique, so that you can be really intentional about how you position yourself online and how you are building your brand. So that would be step number one. Step number two, I just think get on social media, whether that be Instagram, whether that be TikTok. I obviously personally love Instagram for businesses, particularly service-based businesses. I think that it's a great platform to help you find and connect with your ideal customers. And if you think about traditional marketing methods, in no other area outside of social media are you able to have direct access to your customers where they can see you face to face, day in, day out, and really build that human connection between yourself and your brand. So it's a fantastic platform for building your expertise in your field, but also it enables your audience to build that know, like, and trust with your brand a lot faster than any other channel, and that trust is what will then lead to sales.
Okay, and so then how do you keep your followers engaged?
Yeah, well, it's all about creating content for them, content that's going to be of value, that's going to spark curiosity, that's going to connect with them. And of course, that all comes down to how well you understand your ideal client. And I find through working with, a number of businesses now, a lot of people think that they know their ideal client. Maybe it's Sally, 30, lives in Sydney, income of X amount, but you need to have a deeper understanding. You need to understand the psychographics of those people. What makes them tick? What are they struggling with? What motivates them? What goals are they sort of working towards? Because that's all of the stuff that you can tap into when you're, creating and building out a content marketing plan that's really going to be effective and going to capture their attention and, spark their interest and get them watching a lot closer. Obviously there's content everywhere. We're just overwhelmed by it. I think it's like we are presented with over 10,000 marketing messages every single day because of how ingrained digital technology is in our lives. So you really need to be quite strategic in how you approach your content creation in order to cut through all of that noise.
Now I've got to ask you a question. This is one of my, it's a bit random. You've just said Sally, who's 30 in Sydney. Is that I always go, whenever I'm talking about someone, I'll always use this name, Sarah. And that's the persona that I use. Is yours Sally? Is that who you always use?
No, not at all. I was just speaking to my friend Sally about half an hour ago. So she's the first person that came to my head.
I think usually we have this persona and we always use the same name when we're talking about it. I've always got the word name Fred if I'm talking about a guy, and Sarah. And random, but I just thought I'd see if that was yours.
No, not at all. But that's funny.
But then, Rachel, as you have grown your business, I can see your followings, quite large as well. How has that transformed the way you interact with people? And how do you handle sort of any sort of negativity or criticism that comes across your socials and your marketing?
I think the way that I interact with my audience hasn't changed, and I would want to, for as long as I can, be able to continue engaging with my audience in the manner that I always have. And that is just having conversations with people, particularly, I'm a big voice noter. So, if people reach out to me in my community, I'll often just send them a quick voice note because I find it really easy as opposed to texting. So I am definitely someone who's always made time for my community, and my community are just such a central part in the success of my business. It's because of the time investment I've made into building that community that I believe has allowed me to sort of grow and scale the business. I'm pretty lucky that I have a really great community. So I don't often receive a lot of criticism or negativity online. With that being said, when I was working as a dietitian, and I was sharing nutrition related content, I would definitely receive more criticism, more negativity. People always tended to have quite big opinions on anything related to nutrition. There was one instance where I only had about 5,000 followers. So it wasn't like this huge, platform by any means, but just in terms of the impact of the online space, I had shared this content piece, and influencer that had hundreds of thousands of followers, put it up on their stories and, heavily disagreed with what I was saying. And I ended up being absolutely inundated by their followers receiving death threats. Like, they were going to all of my content, leaving awful comments on it. And that was like the first moment where I realized, wow, people I suppose like the power of the online space and how quickly things can gain momentum for good or bad. So yeah, my response in that moment was not what I would do now. My response to stop all of it was to turn my account on private and to just make it all stop, because I just couldn't handle it anymore. I reached out to the influencer and asked her to take it down and said, look, I'm receiving death threats. And their response was, well, you deserve it.
Oh my goodness.
For this post. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now I wouldn't do this. Now Instagram have some great features like switching off comments, for example, blocking people, so you can really shield yourself from seeing a lot of hate and trolling and negativity online. In general, if someone approached me and they had a differing opinion to me and it wasn't a troll-like comment, or they weren't bullying me, they were just, expressing a strong difference of opinion, then I always have a one response rule. So I'll respond once, and then that's it. I'm not interested in getting in debates over comments, but that's just my approach.
And it's time too. You don't even have time to be giving that time and energy into something that is not serving you.
Exactly. Yeah. And it does take a lot of mental energy as well to engage in those conversations too.
So Rachel, tell me about a time where maybe you've had a bit of a setback or something hasn't quite gone to plan. How you have overcome that to continue forward momentum and continue chasing your goals.
Setbacks. I feel like I have setbacks every week. I was scrolling through Instagram this morning and I saw a quote from Brené Brown, and it said, there's no creativity and innovation without failure. And innovation is really it's one of my brand values and really central to everything that I do. And I just think it's a nice reminder that, you can't grow in business without failing. And if you're not failing and having setbacks, then you're not doing something right. So I think for me, that mental acknowledgement that things are not always going to run smoothly and your business journey is not going to be linear in that upwards direction. It is a roller coaster ride, and you'll go through moments where everything seems to be running smoothly, and then you'll go through moments where you get those setbacks and you'll have those failures, some big, some small, and you've just got to accept it as part of your business journey. And be kind to yourself, I think, as well when they happen. I know for me, what I like to do is I lean on my business network. So I have a couple of really close friends who also run businesses that I will often reach out to if I'm ever experiencing a setback or a failure or a challenge. And I just talk through that with them. And I say friends in business because no one can truly understand the experiences of being a founder and running a business better than another business owner. I think, your friends and your family can be so kind in, hearing you out and just being, a shoulder to cry on. But in terms of the lived experience of what it's actually like, there's just not that entire comprehension there. So that's what I do. And I find that those conversations can sometimes lead to big light bulb moments or just a shift in perspective that I wouldn't have been able to come to myself because I'm too stuck in the business. So I think it's beneficial in two ways there.
How do you create a network of business owners and support? Like the women that are coming, they're new to business. How do they get themselves out there and find these new friends and these new confidants that they can turn to and, talk through problems and understand each other?
Literally every single person in my professional network is someone that I've connected with on Instagram. Every single person. I've never personally been one to go to a lot of in-person business networking events or anything like that because I've worked virtually. I've just always done that virtually. So yeah, I wish that I had more direction there and, go to this place and talk to this person, but it's just not how it's worked for me. My experience has been, striking up conversations with people, authentic and genuine conversations that I never, entered into with the aim of, building a business, developing that relationship to be like a business bestie, if you like, but it's just naturally evolved that way. And all of our businesses have grown together as well. So I have a good mix of friends who are at similar stages of business to me, and then also friends who are a little bit ahead of me. And I would say that that's really important as well, to surround yourself with people who have been where you want to go, so that you can learn from their experiences, and that can, you know, support your growth as well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a true believer of that. I'm certainly in a couple of groups myself. And I always say that this is my quote here that I kind of say is, if you want to be a lion, you got to play with the lions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, and that's how my journey kind of started back a few years ago, was going to San Francisco for 3 days going, oh my God, I don't have the money. Can I get there? How am I going to get there? And I literally took a backpack and went to this function. And that's where it all started for me. But that's for another time, over a cocktail virtually.
Yeah. I look forward to it.
Yeah. So then you help women or people grow their business. Tell me, what are some key strategies for scaling up and increasing revenue that you have seen quite successful for the health industry, which would transfer into any business online anyway?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people think, okay, in order to grow and scale, I need to be in front of more people, which isn't wrong. That's correct. You know, you want to obviously increase your reach and the exposure of your brand in order to attract new people to your business. Absolutely. But I think there's quite often a trend, or, you know, an occurrence happening where they fail to think about their current client base, who they've worked with, and, you know, assumingly really have enjoyed that experience working with them. I think it's called the Pareto principle, but it's essentially that, you know, 80% of your income comes from 20% of your client base. And, you know, it's this idea that, you know, majority of your business will come from those loyal customers of yours. So what are we doing to really nurture that relationship and to, you know, support those people? So I think in terms of scaling a business and growing a business, I think diversification of your services and products is something that everyone should look at. Mm-hmm. And quite often, like if I think about my own business journey, the products and services that I've developed are not ones that I would have been able to ideate at the beginning of my business journey. They're things that have naturally evolved as I've worked with clients, and as they've progressed in their business journey, it's sort of created this new need for another service or another product so that I can continue working and supporting those people. So I think, yes, of course, going out, increasing, you know, awareness around your brand and, you know, getting your brand in front of more eyeballs, but also diversifying what you're currently doing to better support those who come into your business, so that as those new people come in, they'll be in your business for longer.
So you mentioned earlier, innovation was one of your values. So what role does innovation and creativity play in a business like yours, which is probably primarily all about innovation and creativity? How does that play into scaling a business though?
It's huge. So I think when I think of creativity and innovation, the first thing that comes to my head is competitive advantage. So innovation and creativity is what allows businesses to create these really unique services and products, these things that aren't necessarily in the market, but they see the need for it and they're willing to, you know, adapt and create that, because those things are what will set you apart from other businesses who, you know, do what you do, and that can therefore enable you to scale a lot quicker. I think adaptability is another one too. So that ability to be able to adapt to the changing needs of your ideal customer, to adapt to, you know, changes in, you know, market conditions, you know, the economy at the moment being, you know, a great example of that. So innovation and creativity are skills that I believe businesses need in order to stay relevant and keep up with the times. And the reality is that you have a business, you need to continuously be innovating and evolving in order to, you know, be successful and to continue to scale and reach those new stages of growth.
Yeah. Can you share a time then that you've, I guess, experienced where you were able to significantly increase your income and revenue through your businesses, through innovation and creativity?
Of course.
And adapting.
Yeah. So my biggest example would be the development of Gramtini. So, bit of background, when I was working as a dietitian and I sort of had one foot in the door, one foot out the door, I had a podcast at the time where I had built a really strong and quite an engaged community of nutrition professionals, specifically at that point in time. And they would always come to me asking for tips on how to market their business on Instagram, because I was someone who had built, a strong brand on Instagram, and I was working with brands and I was monetizing that platform. So I sort of tested the waters and did this one-off online virtual event where I taught basics of Instagram marketing, and it went nuts. I think I made, how much did it bring in? I think it brought in around $20,000, and that was off tickets, which were, I think, 140. So it was a pretty low cost event. And that was the first sizable amount of money that I had made off my brand alone, not from, a brand partnership or any other, client work or anything like that. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's pretty cool. Maybe, that's something that I should look into. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. There were all of these health professionals that have gone online. And although they were trying, props off to everyone who tried on Instagram, I was like, oh my gosh, let me show you what to do. Let me give you the roadmap. And so in the space of 6 months, I left dietetics, developed Gramtini, launched this new business. And the first launch of Gramtini was incredible. I had 93 people who joined the course, revenue of, over $40,000. In hindsight, should have priced the course a lot higher. That just goes to show how much it's grown. But yeah, I think I was selling it for $300 or $400 back then. And that was the first sizable scaling moment for me, where, this thing that I was doing went from being a hobby to an actual tangible business. And the success of Gramtini just kept growing as, people were going through the course, getting great results, speaking highly. And that has just sort of continued to grow.
Yeah, it's amazing. You've been very successful. I've read your story through a couple of other sites. I think a connection that we both have. I've read your story through there. I think I've heard about you on a podcast as well. And then I stalked you through the cocktail pages and found you there. And then here we are. So look, Rachel, I appreciate you coming on to our Unleashing Potential Summit today. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge and tips about digital marketing strategies that are going to definitely help these ladies. We're going to share more about your product, Gramtini. I know you're launching something new soon and your website's being redeveloped, and we'll share all that with our entire list, and plus all the people that are here, the VIPs. So we appreciate your time today, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And like I said, I love what you're doing with the Sisterhood Collective. So yeah, well done to you and the team.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So from here, what we're going to do is take another 5-minute break. I'm going to talk a little bit about our mastermind. I might do that a little bit separately. So we'll take a 5-minute break. And for those that are coming back for the hot seat, we'll start that in 5 minutes.